I knew once we started this podcast series that we were going to have to touch on Humana, especially with the growth of this carrier in the past year or so. I've dealt with this heavily, and Humana is definitely a carrier that's worthwhile for a lot of agents and worth hearing about. So we finally, without any further ado, are able to make that happen here. I'm going to be your host, Mike Asti, for this version of the Neishloss podcast. And joining me is the broker relationship manager with Humana to be able to talk Humana as we finally get them aboard here with the Neishloss podcast. Judy Gee, who I'm very happy I asked her proper pronunciation for her last name there. I would have messed that one up. But Judy Gee, broker relationship manager with Humana. Glad to have you aboard here, Judy. So first off, how are you doing? I know obviously the world's a little crazy right now, but we appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely, Mike. I'm so happy to join you. You guys have been an amazing partner of ours, and we're looking forward to growing with you. And the challenging times is a very true statement. So doing a lot of things to help support the members and the partner agents out there.
Yeah, I'm sure. And that's something that everybody definitely is making a point to doing right now and definitely needs to. And it's all about, getting everybody as much assistance as possible, even though it's a more difficult world. But who knows where the future may hold. What I want to get started with, though, is, as I said in the open, Humana's had a lot of growth recently, especially in the last year or so. They're one of the top tier carriers. Everyone's heard of them, but they've had a lot of growth in the last 6 months to a year to really even improve their standing even further. And Humana has a very well-developed portfolio. They have a lot of plans. They have a lot going on. There's a lot for consumers to choose from and a lot for agents to provide to the consumer to make them interested in something. But if you had to kind of narrow it down, possibly, what would you say are two plans that are experiencing the highest growth so far from what you've seen and what you've experienced personally in 2020, and why do you think that may be?
Well, like you said, Humana has a great continuum of products in the marketplace. We've worked very hard on making sure that our platforms are available with options to fit different members' needs. So our top selling plan in the Pennsylvania market has always been our 038 plan. It's a PPO plan with a zero premium, and it's across the whole state minus 4 counties. So members like zero PPO plans. The network allows them the opportunity to be in or out anywhere in the United States. So that has been our top plan in the marketplace. It has low copays, it has MSBs, and a gym membership that our members can use. I think the second plan in Pennsylvania that's had the highest ratings is our D-SNP plan.
Okay.
And that's what we call our 038 plan. What's unique about our plan in that marketplace is the number of different Medicare levels that we can actually cover. So unique to Humana, we cover full benefit duals, we cover qualified Medicare beneficiaries, qualified Medicare beneficiaries plus, and specified low-income beneficiaries plus. So for a member that's on a D-SNP plan, they don't see the copays or the cost shares, so the MSBs have to be really strong on a plan like that. So with that plan, Humana has $2,000 in dental, $200 towards vision. The best part about this plan is for hearing aids. Humana has a zero copay for 2 hearing aids a year for a member, and they see no cost. It also comes along with $300 quarterly OTC benefit, unlimited transportation. And that's not only to approved medical facilities, but also fitness centers. So it works very well with our Silver Sneakers program. Members can use that transportation benefit to get back and forth to the gym where they can interact on a social level beyond the physical level. So those are our 2 top selling plans. Our honors program in PA I'm very passionate about, but I'm sure that we'll get to that.
Yeah, and I actually did some research into that not long ago for a social post, and that is definitely a great benefit as well. And I also, a lot of agents, they deal with the Med Advantage side, they deal with the Med Sup side, there's D-SNP. It's all kind of whatever the client needs. It's kind of the idea of Medicare. There's different ways to skin a cat, but it's really about serving the client the best you can. So it's best to present it all and have it all at your disposal and know what your client may need. So that definitely makes sense there. And I, speaking on that end, even on the Med Sup side, and this is something that was in other states earlier in the debut, but the Humana Achieve in terms of the Med Sub plan with the Humana Achieve, which I know is making the Humana product in general to a lot of agents more attractive than even before because of having that Achieve and where the rates are with that. So Humana is definitely doing a lot for sure. Now, in looking at your plans, what do you think if you had to pick? And it's hard because Humana again is doing a lot, and they're a top tier carrier that is one of the most attractive benefits that agents should try to get out there when they're talking to their clients, because when you're talking to a client, you don't want to overwhelm them, you don't want to bamboozle them with tons of information and have them think they don't understand it or getting manipulated. Sometimes you just need to hit on some bullet points to ease them in. So if you told a rep, if you told an agent what is one plan, one benefit that you got to convey, what would that maybe be?
So I think you're absolutely right. That needs analysis is so important. I think one benefit that we have that truly makes Humana stand out is this year it's our hearing aid benefit. Starting in the last AEP, we partnered with True Hearing. And what we do is we offer a hearing benefit at a copay. So a lot of members work with other carriers that offer a specific dollar amount towards a hearing aid, and then the member has to pick up the balance, whatever might be due. And we saw that as maybe a challenge to some of our beneficiaries. So what we did was we partnered with True Hearing, and the plans are set up with a copay for either an advanced level hearing aid or a premium level hearing aid. Average, the plans offer either the advanced level at $399 and premium at $699, and other plans offer it at $699 and $999. But what it means to a member is they know they are going to get two top of the line hearing aids for a maximum of $2,000. We all know that hearing aids alone can cost in between $3,000 to $4,000 for one of them. So if they can get both for $2,000 or on our D-SNP plan, get two at no cost or no copay, we think that that's a real standout benefit to make our plans better.
I can't, disagree with any of that, and I definitely think it's a big benefit as well to the market. Now, you mentioned kind of segueing. You mentioned Humana Honor. You mentioned things in that direction with your first answer. So this kind of will bleed into that. Humana, they obviously pride themselves, as you mentioned, on the relationship with veterans, and that veteran community is a big part of the industry that maybe does sometimes can get overlooked. So it's a big deal. What are factors in terms of contributing to Humana's relationship with the veteran community, and especially the plans? What's the motivation behind some of those plans that are geared towards the veterans in our world and in our community? And maybe speak more on the plans designed, whether it be Humana Honor or alike, towards the veterans.
Absolutely. I have, and Humana has a huge passion towards our veterans. We actually have a tagline that we use that says, a country that creates veterans should be prepared to take care of veterans.
Absolutely.
So it truly is. All that I could say is education, education, education. Um, we want to be in the field teaching agents what some of the facets are that veterans face. So understanding that there's priority levels 1 through priority levels 8, and they get different benefits and different costs. And then the difference between VA coverage, TRICARE for Life, and CHAMPS VA. when you're talking to a veteran, if you don't understand and ask enough questions to see how you can be helpful, you could actually hurt them a little bit by putting an MA or an MAPD in place. So when we look at our plan, we sit down, we have the full conversation. We have veterans directors that run training specifically to help agents identify what can be done. And every beneficiary is just unique in what that need is going to be. So in mention of our honors program, which we just brought into Pennsylvania in AEP of 2020, it's an MA only plan with no Part D, but it's also a Part B give back plan of $55. So when we talk to someone and they say, no, I'm all set, I use the VA, what happens when they need help and they can't get to a VA? So we created a plan on a PPO chassis so that they can get services throughout the United States, in or out of network, because it has a passive network. And then some of the other things that our veterans either pay additional fees for, they don't have to do that if they have this additional plan. So MSBs on this plan have dental of $2,500. It's got the vision of $100. It has a hearing aid benefit, an OTC quarterly. It comes with our Well-Dine benefit. So if they're ever hospitalized upon release, we'll send 10 pre-cooked meals to their house.
Wow.
And they get silver sneakers to stay active. So we just want to educate and help our veterans be better taken care of. And we've actually got 2 more training sessions coming up on April 17th to help them understand how to help a veteran.
Now, do you feel it's just, it almost sounds like just as simple as communicating those benefits in a proper way to the client, maybe to get those plans moving, because they have a lot of bells and whistles there, but there's a lot of those veterans need. And as we mentioned earlier as well, it's really about knowing your client and doing the needs assessment and knowing what they need and getting somebody an MA plan that maybe should be in the dual step market, that doesn't benefit them. Getting somebody a med sub plan that can't afford the med sub plan regardless of their health, that doesn't benefit them. And then not giving somebody a plan like whether it be Humana Honor or anything else involving the veterans when they are a veteran, when they could be using a lot at their disposal, or to explain to them more that they would have at their disposal with these plans than just going to the VA, also wouldn't be benefiting them. So is there any advice you give to agents? Because I'm sure that a lot of clients, that's sometimes a lot to take in terms of, is it just really simply trying to find a way to convey it and getting it across to them in terms of the veteran plans? Because obviously that's a lot that somebody could have as a benefit to them.
Yes, absolutely true. And to be honest with you, Mike, if you have a veteran that's only going to the VA, these plans work amazing for them. But if you have someone that has either TRICARE for Life, or CHAMPS, if you put one of these plans in place, you can actually cause a problem with their billing and the way that their claims get paid. So education is so important. And I'll give you an example of a typical conversation I have.
Okay.
I have a "Are you a veteran?" slick on the back of my computer. And veterans will approach me if I'm in a hair salon or if I'm in an airport. They want to know why. And I always say, first thing is, I want to thank you. I never pass up an opportunity to thank you for your service. And when we get into a deeper conversation and they say, I'm all set, I use the VA, I'll ask if I can ask 3 questions. My first question is, if you get in a car accident tomorrow and you're put in an ambulance, do you believe they're going to ask you if you want to be brought to a VA? My second question is, if you're told you have to have a surgery done, such as a hip replacement, would you like coverage in place that allows you to go out and get a second opinion with some coverage? And if you do have to have that surgery done, would you like a doctor to do that that does that surgery every day for a living, or would you like to have it done at the VA? And lastly, if you don't need any of these services, would you like $55 of your Part B premium given back to you, along with being able to go to a gym and have some other additional benefits? So sometimes they don't think outside of the VA because that's what they know. But once they're outside of the VA, who's going to help take care of them? And we'd like to help do that.
Right, absolutely, and a lot of times simplifying it that way, and that was good because that's kind of what I want to get out because a lot of agents maybe don't know as much or know how to properly handle conversation with veterans because everyone has so much respect for them. But if they kind of dismiss you, people maybe kind of leave it alone. But if you just simply kind of ease in, it could be that they're not aware of what's going on and what their benefits that they're not utilizing that they should be, and more help that could be there for them. And as we've been talking here, Humana, obviously a name brand carrier, but it has a lot of relationships with Silver Sneakers and those type of brand names that clients in general are very familiar and very comfortable with. So that's a big boost as well to the carrier. Now, what I do have to ask though, and I ask this to every rep, so it's not just specific to you because this is something that everybody deals with, and as great as everyone thinks their plans are, and Humana is one of those that has the brand name, and we just spent time talking about what it can do for veterans and what it can do in the Med Advantage and the Med Sup category, and even DSNP, and that's kind of been the tone so far. There's always going to be challenges. There's always going to be clients that, regardless of how you ease in or how you have the conversation, they're just going to want to bring up negatives, or they're maybe just not going to understand it, or maybe just it's going to be a tougher conversation. So there's always going to be challenges no matter what's going on, no matter what you're dealing with as an agent. And I will say a lot of main listening base here of the podcast are usually newer agents and clients and all agents alike. So what do you think one of those biggest challenges is to agents? What are you hearing them telling you is a challenge right now, and what advice maybe could you provide to try to overcome it? Because it's going to exist no matter whether it should or should not.
Oh, absolutely. No carrier out there is perfect. We know we aren't, but we do have the passion and dedication to try to get better. So, as far as your question goes, I believe the biggest challenge that agents voice to us is network inadequacies. So, Humana works every day at trying to grow our network. And in response to the agents' concerns that they brought to us, in 2020, we created our PPO plans to have a open access feature. And what that means is the agent, when discussing the plan, has the same in and out of network costs so that their experience in or out is the same. Also, our PPO platform is nationwide. So when a beneficiary looks at our plans, when they look at our PPO plan and they travel the United States, they can see any PPO doctor in network and be billed the same as though they were right in Pennsylvania or whichever state they pick up the plan in, and pay the same costs. So sometimes a worst case scenario happens, which is a provider will not bill out of network. If one of our members faces that situation, they can actually see that physician, they can pay for that invoice and that visit, and then they can send Humana the invoice along with an out-of-network form, and we will reimburse the member in full, short their copay. So while we continue to try to build and grow the network, we are trying to find ways to make our current network acceptable and make it easy for a member to be able to see the doctor of their choice and have a way to have that covered.
Well, it definitely sounds like you're doing as much as you can there, and nobody can control having every facet of every network these days. However, the reimbursement there, it certainly is a major benefit, and that definitely can alleviate things. So, Judy, as we round things out here, I just kind of wanted to express that, and you said this going in, that us here at Neishloss and Fleming, we definitely work with a lot of agents that have Humana. We definitely have the understanding of the carrier and know the carrier's worth in the overall market. And I feel like, as well as you and your advice and what you guys give to the agents that work with you, that we definitely have a lot to offer. We, number one, have a pride on our service. So we always have somebody there to be able to ease you into either contracting, ease you into education, help you with marketing strategies. We kind of want to provide the whole gamut of service to the agents and try to do that as much as possible, and even try to get on the phone with agents as often as possible. And kind of some unique things. We, number one, have an in-house graphic designer that can help create billboards, bulletins, postcards, business cards, anything really, flyers, as well as having now a social media campaign. So we have somebody that helps run agents' social media. You get a heavy discount to be involved with him by working with us. He can either maintain social media accounts in terms of posting on them, create them from the ground floor for you, keep them active, and generate online leads, which if you're not out there, you don't have a digital footprint, you're just missing out on online leads that do exist for you. He can do the same thing with a website, either create it from the ground floor or maintain one. And you still have access to all those outlets, but he certainly can take that time away from you and help generate those leads. We do have a program now called Greenhouse, which can allow agents to gain different rewards and different incentives. It could even be as great as receiving an Amazon gift card or an Amazon points, and can be used those as cash. And you can gain those even for just creating a profile. That's on our website in a little tab, as well as accomplishing different goals all the way through. So again, that's the Greenhouse program we have for agents. And we feel like we definitely have a lot to offer the agent overall, especially when they're involved with a carrier like Humana. So we kind of, treat them, we kind of act in the process as a silent partner, helping them get their full commission, as well as partnering with them and making sure they're able to benefit from a carrier like Humana as much as possible. So just wanted to say that, and we definitely appreciate you and everyone else at Humana in terms of the relationship, but we definitely have a lot to offer our agents. So anyone nearby or anywhere in the country, feel free to send them our way if you need somebody to assist them in that process for sure.
Absolutely. The culture that your group creates for your agents and for the carriers that work with you is impeccable.
Well, we definitely appreciate that, and that definitely is our goal. And again, it's always striving for service, and I think that encompasses everything I just discussed. But then, even and then some. And it's a building relationship business, but also about, really, at the end of the day, we're all just trying to serve the client and make sure they get what they need the most, which a lot of the time that does involve education. A lot of the time that needs to make sure that people like myself, people like you, are educated, which we're hoping to do here in this podcast, but also the agent. And it's really just bringing things up. And you kind of touched on that it's really just mentioning things and making sure the client is aware of things, because it could be that they're just not aware, and the Medicare market is always changing, and people maybe either get set in their ways or just aren't informed because nobody ever brings it up to them. So that's kind of the goal here of this podcast series, but also I think that's what you're doing with the agents you speak to, and we hope to do the same. I do also offer this to anyone who joins me on the podcast, that after I'm done, brushing my shoulders off and talking us up a bit, I do want to ask you to kind of be able to, kind of close this show with any advice or any final words, or really anything you want to convey, whether it be about Humana and the carrier or just anything in general. We definitely appreciate the time, Judy.
Oh, absolutely. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys extending us the opportunity to have the conversation. Um, I do want to give a heartfelt touch on COVID. I
Sure.
realize it's changing everybody's worlds out there, from members to agents. Humana is partnering, trying to put different things in place, whether it's the donations that we've made to from the Humana Foundation, or waiving all the fees for anybody being seen regarding COVID. Members don't need to be afraid of their health insurance at the time when everything else is kind of scary. So, I want to just give my best to everyone who's a little bit shaken out there and trying to get their way through. We're thinking about you.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect way to end things. I can echo those sentiments as well. So that's going to close another chapter here on the Neishloss podcast. I'm your host, Mike Asti. Until we meet again.